Wait, the software's. There we go. And hello, everybody. Welcome once again. Here I've got Thomas Holzer from Raise2Launch. And we are doing our bi monthly stream. We're talking about interesting things in the world of marketing, startup businesses, HR, like anything in this area. One thing Thomas and I were talking about a couple weeks ago was how we're old, both of us, and we are familiar with the idea of meeting people in person, like people. And there's a whole tranche of entrepreneurs right now who don't like it, don't do it, feel awkward with it. And speaking personally as somebody who has severe hearing impairment, which makes networking in person substantially more complicated, I get disliking it. That said, there are some things you simply cannot replace in person networking events for. And I think, Tomas, I have some thoughts on exactly why, but tell me, why network in person like cavemen did?
I think it's just during COVID we get used to do everything online, but in the past you knew that you can only build relationships when you have feelings, intuition, when you walk up to someone, how you feel, how you bond. These things are kind of important. All this part of communication where what you take away when you do this online. So in networking, you basically just really follow your vibe and follow who are you really resonate to, and that's actually interesting because that the other person also feels that, and you're able to stay in people's mind. So your number one goal when you're networking person is to stay relevant and stay people's mind, so that if you have a short conversation where you felt that you were able to provide value, we'll talk about this more in a minute how to do that, then people will likely to do business with you because they like you. So they remember you, they like you, they're more likely to do business with you. That is actually a big differentiator. That's not something you can really do online. It's just gonna be the same. Yeah.
It is harder to differentiate online. I've been using Lunch Club, which I invited you into. I've been using Lunch Club for, I just had my 130th Lunch Club call, which I had no idea I've been doing it that long. And you are able to establish some version of a human connection there, but there are a few things that you get in in-person meetings that you don't get elsewhere. One of them is right now, am I talking to you, Thomas? Do I have Reddit open and I'm looking at the camera in the direction and maybe distracted reading? Maybe I've got, I'm getting images from my wife through WhatsApp of my daughter doing something adorable. You don't know. You don't know how much attention I have for you right now. In person, it is much more evident. If I'm looking at you versus, if I've got my phone right, this is a trick I know for long webinars, right next to the camera, I could be reading a book. I look super attentive. All that's happening is this there, right? And in person, I can't hold my phone next to your head and hope you don't notice. So one of the big things is you get people's attention. You know you have it. And all the body language tells me about you. Things like where your feet are pointing will tell me, are you engaged with me or are you trying to escape and you just can't find the right word to say, leave me be, right? All of this is there. That's one big advantage. Another is in-person networking. If you do it right, you've got 40, 50, 200, 5,000, whatever people around you. Your opportunity to meet is much faster. And if, as we'll be talking about in a moment, one of the ways I like to hack networking events to make them data driven, there's nothing faster than going to a networking event and talking to 30 people in an hour and trying your 1 minute pitch on 30 people. And you will instantly see in the first 5 seconds, did it work? And if not, pull the parachute, nope out, find somebody else, right? You'll know to move quick. So that's the other advantage is if you're in the right environment, you will never learn as fast as you will in an in-person networking event. So I have my own ways of using networking events. I'm not super people focused. So I tend to look at them as a way to extract value and a way to be memorable in case the mustache and the glasses didn't clue you in on that. But you're more of a people person than me, Thomas. How do you do in person networking?
Yeah, thanks. It's a good question because first I observe what's happening. So if there's two person who is just talking to each other like really like this, then I don't approach them.
Yeah.
If they're talking in a way that they're like in, if you can step into a circle and form a triangle or a circle, then step in there and I often say, um, you know, hope I'm not interrupting any conversation. Would you mind do like a circle or a circle of introductions or something? And I often ask, why are you in the event? What kind of introductions are you looking for? And that's actually surprises people right away because I'm not just there to, talk about myself, or my business or my practice. I actually connect people who I met at the event. So I ask them, what kind of introductions are you looking for? What is the best introduction for you? Because maybe I spoke with someone 5 minutes earlier. You don't need to, walk the whole floor. I can just introduce you and walk you over. And people find that very, kind of logical, but also simple enough to like, okay. So then they introduce themselves again. What are they here for? I ask questions. What's a little bit about why are they doing this or why they do this, what they do, because that's often people forget. They just talk about their business, and then when they get a question like why they do this, that's like makes it a little bit more personal. Then I practice my pitch. So I try to be short with my introduction once I'm able to talk with them, and try to ask them, somehow if this is relevant to them, to measure the temperature, because I have a 30-second version if it's not relevant for them, a 45 or a minute version, and a 1.5 minute version. So it's good to have these in your mind. You can also read the body language, see that you lost the person somewhere after 30 seconds, or somebody jokes after the TikTok 15 seconds. Then you gotta not keep pushing the button and keep talking. You gotta like slow down and ask what part you lost them, or maybe this is not relevant to them. And then if they say no, this is not really their field, immediately change it around and say, okay, well, tell me what is actually interest you. Why are you here in this conference, right? So I try to make it sound a little bit more about them, gather information, see how I can introduce to anybody at the event. And that's true. You need to be a little bit of a photographic memory when you go to a networking event. So you can't just say you're not remembering the conversations. You gotta kind of, that person does this, that person does that, and this you try to naturally connect people. So that's how I do it from a people point of view. Or hope that answered your question of what I'm doing when it comes to working the floor.
I think a really good tip, and one that is for people who are new at this, it's easy to get wrong, is who do I approach, right? I'm at even if it's just like a networking hour at a bar or at a WeWork or something, right? Who do you look for? There's a couple folks I look for, and it depends on kind of how awkward I am feeling at this moment. Usually, the first conversation or two that I get into in any networking event, I feel like I'm trying to ask a girl out at a dance, like real awkward, and just like something I'm like, I didn't know I had this many fingers. What's going on? Why can't I make my mouth work? And then after a few, you get back into the groove of it. And the first thing I look for, if I'm really just not feeling it, my first conversation of the evening, I might look for somebody else who looks just as completely lost as I feel. Right? Not yet in a group. Right? These are not the professional networkers. You can spot the professional networkers because they're like sharks. They're going through the water. And maybe you don't want to be there, right? Start something easy. Look for somebody else who's holding a drink, something in a cocktail napkin looks like this. And just walk up and be like, so, what brings you here? And then inevitably be like, I don't want to be here. Take me home, please. But engage them, draw them out of it, right? Once they're more comfortable, you will be more comfortable too. Now, those people are usually not the ones you want to be stuck talking to for 30 minutes at a networking event. So you also want to have a clean exit. I have found, back when I was first doing networking quite a while back, I would get stuck talking to somebody with no business, no prospect, nothing interesting about them to me, but they just kept up a volume of words that would never end. And I couldn't find a way just to be like, uh, goodbye and walk away, and hadn't yet learned the cold shoulder of nope and walk away as well. Um, Having a clean exit can be good. One thing I like to offer, I sell heavily on knowledge. That's how I grow my whole business. Being able to say to somebody, here's my business card. On it has a link which will explain you how to build your $1 million marketing engine. Hope you find it useful. Give it to their hands. goodbye, right? I have very clearly ended the conversation. So you get into somebody who's clearly out of their depth, talk to them for a bit, give them something to signal the end of the call. I also used to call that the kiss off brochure. When I work in a booth, there are high value leads who you come in, and there's the kiss off brochure for everybody else. This is an overview of services, goodbye, right? That breaks the conversation. When you see a group of people, you don't want to go in if they're all tightly clustered together. That's a bad place. Where there's an opening, you can step in. Having an opener ready to walk in, either, hey, um, who do you most want to meet at this event? That is a good one. Usually it's like, oh, Shaquille O'Neal's here. Like, yeah, that'd be real cool to meet, wouldn't it? Neither of us are ever going to get there, but, and then you can make a conversation happen. Or, Tomas, you're more of a people person than I am. You might remember somebody they want to meet. If somebody says, oh, I want to meet a dude who does this, I'll be like, I don't know anybody who does that. Right? Even if I just walked away from a conversation, my brain doesn't hold that. But leave with some value, right? Another one I'll do is my pitch is literally a sentence. I build $1 million marketing engine with results guaranteed. Right? People will go, that sounds unbelievable. You have a conversation starter from there. Or folks will go, I love your mustache. And then depending on my mood, I'll either say, thanks, I grew it myself, or it's actually a fake mustache. They'll be like, what? And then it's not, but you get some conversation going, right? Any of these things to get you over the social awkwardness. My real goal, because Tomas, you're people person and I'm not people person, is I'm looking for either business connection or validating an idea. Something I love to do when I'm looking at a product that I haven't launched yet is I will find an event for people who might buy this non-existent product. An example, my buddy John might be on the call, chatting with him on LinkedIn right before the call. Uh, he and I went to HR Tech conference in Las Vegas when we wrote, well, he wrote, I didn't write anything. He wrote an app we were trying to take to market for HR Tech information, basically integration. And so we booked 3 days at the show. We had 12 meetings at least a day, every day. And this was just cold pitch after cold pitch. And what we were looking for is, did people want the product? And did we get LOIs signed? We got two signed at the trade show. Did we get folks who were making intros and interested in brokering more discussion? And if so, that speed and the cost, right? I mean, we flew from Montreal to Las Vegas. This is not a tiny cost. But for all in, maybe we were $2,500. We instantly launched, LOIs in hand, clients on board, software that we knew we had to write. And we showed up there with nothing other than matching T-shirts and some business cards. Not even a website yet. So that's a great utility to validate an idea. And then what you do, the growth hacking part. How do you hack your pitch? I generally will have 3, maybe as many as 5 pitches I know I want to give. Before I go into every discussion with somebody, I will pick which pitch I'm going to give before I get to them. I used to have a ring on my thumb that I could spin, and it would give me a random number from 1 to 20, which would then be easily divisible by most any number of pitches I might want to give. So I could just spin and look and say, great, I'm doing pitch number 3 because I see I got a 9, right? Whatever. This kind of thing is one way to randomize, or you can just do sequentially, whatever. What you're looking for is, I give a pitch, I see how it went, I get a business card, I write down a score on that card, 1 to 5. How well do I think the pitch went? 1 is complete garbage, never speak to this person again. Hopefully, they don't remember that I exist because I just called their mom something unfortunate. 5 is contract signed, we're printing money, right? You rate it. Then you put that. I usually go to business conventions wearing a sport coat. And the reason why I wear sports coats is because they have so many pockets. So I have my business cards that I get from people go in this pocket. My business cards that I get people come from here. I have a brochure in this pocket I can pull out and funnel through. And then over here is where I have giveaways and other things to provide people. So I'm like a magician with props all prepared. And so I get your score, I write it down, I put it in here. Also in this pocket, I have a lead sheet. So if you're an interested party, after I get away from the call with you, I will write down on an index card some notes about this person, what the follow up should be. And then I might even paperclip or staple business card to lead scorecard, put it back. Now I know I'm good to go, right? So I score how well I think the pitch went, and then 2 weeks later I can see in the CRM I've got how well I think the pitch went and did I get any interest after the show. I can now put data into what's a very human thing. Like, Tomas, I'm sure you can hold this in your head. You know what are good conversations and what are bad. I have the memory of a goldfish. So what I do instead is say, systematize this, put this in the CRM. I don't have to trust in my faulty brain meat to make this happen. That said, how do you recommend you handle follow up from an event?
Yeah, I think I have a similar scoring system, but I kept it simple. Just like I use the green, yellow, red, right?
That's
Green
good.
meaning this is something more important. I often take a picture of it in my phone, for example, and
Nice.
create a task for tomorrow. And literally, then the business card comes up, so I know what to do. Yellow means I can follow up next week, keep them together, and the red is just something I maybe just gonna keep in touch or add them on LinkedIn and not really do a follow up. But to answer your question, how I do follow ups, that is kind of like the key thing, because if you already go to an event and you're just putting the business cards a stack and put in a drawer and move on, that then you're wasting your time and money. So
Yeah.
you can do conference to conference. You have to have preparation before the conference and preparation afterwards. So when you go even to a networking event, which is maybe just one night, follow up begins by blocking of your time for the follow up. So
Ooh, what
that's
a good tip.
that's how it begins. So, and my rule is that depending on how long the meeting is, I take exactly as much time to do the first follow up.
Oh.
If it's a multi-day
Oh.
event, you need multi-day activities to block that off. So if you had like a 3 4 hour evening, just block off the next day or maximum 2 days later. But literally, you can't do next week or things like that. People will fade, and you want to do your green or your 5 or 4 score follow-ups in your case the next few days, and block off the same amount of time that you would have as long as the event was. And then these green ones are the best ones. You sometimes follow up twice. If you do not hear from the person, which is bad, because if you think it's a good lead, you should probably hear back from the person also in a few days, because the good lead does not mean it's good for you. The good leads means you felt that this is something that is mutual and it's going to go well. A good lead, interesting for me, but the other person was neutral, is a yellow lead or a 3 probably on your scale,
Yeah. Yeah.
moderately interested. So if you do not hear back from the person in a few days, you got to kind of think, put yourself into their shoes, because the follow-up magic begins right there. How do you do your second follow-up? It's not like, hey, I haven't heard back from you, when can we talk? You need to put things into context of, maybe there's something happened, maybe the person is busy. Try to ping the person somewhere else, maybe ping it in a text message kind of short thing. Hey, I sent you a note. I don't want to bother you. I just want to be effective. When is it a good time? Because I felt our conversation also valuable for you. Hear back. Again, these are short follow-ups. Short, how come I didn't hear from you right away, 48 hours? Then you wait a week, like literally. Then I wait a week, give them some time, and then I have this go back follow-up, which I call, where I try to convey the message for them one more time in a structured way, bullet pointed out, for example, in an email. And it's going to start something like, I tried to reach you after the event, even though we had a good conversation. Maybe something come up. Here's a summary of our conversation. And at the end, I say, please let me know if this is still interesting for you, or if based on reading this, maybe you're just excited that night and it's not that interesting. So try to disqualify it at the end. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to get to. That when I do a follow up and I realize that the person is not responding, I try to disqualify it at the end. Disqualifying not in a rude way, saying, I haven't heard from you, so probably this is not interesting for you, and reverse it, which can, I mean, that could be the last resort where, okay, it sounds like this is not interesting for you, and I'm not going to follow up with you anymore. And then some people actually reach after you, but I try to disqualify it or requalify it in a smooth way. Maybe that's a longer answer or a topic, but these are the follow up steps I'm doing right after the meeting.
That's a tip I'd never heard of, is block out as much time as the event was for follow up. That's pretty solid. I don't put nearly that much time in. So what I do, and maybe, I mean, again, Thomas, you're more a people person than I am. You probably have better results with networking than I do too. What I typically do on the, I'm more of the antisocial spectrum of things than you are. Um, I will usually do at a networking event, if I have a lead that I would rate as a 5, right? This is a hot lead. At that discussion I have with them, and I want to keep it relatively short. Um, 15 minutes is usually enough at a networking event to get people on board and excited. Then follow up, we schedule in that conversation. When are we talking next? Conference ends on Friday. Your Monday we already know is going to suck. Let's look for a Tuesday or Wednesday to actually reconnect, right? That's my usual, because if I get on their calendar, then that's my highest likelihood next conversion event. If they go, oh, I can't look at it now, they're already not a 5, right? If they're not that excited, they're not, yes, I want to talk. Okay, so now they're yellow. Then I will wait till the event has ended, whatever it is. I might send a LinkedIn request immediately, but real follow up won't happen until after the event is done, because nobody has time for any of this stuff during an event. And then I will usually wait until at least one business day after the event is done and say, hey, reach out, right? And about half the time, people are just like, they took the next week off, right? Apparently, trade shows are so draining for people that they have to, sit on the beach and recuperate for a week. I don't know, whatever. But okay, cool. Then I will schedule follow up from there. Um, I do like a 7 touch sequence for my leads after an event, because if you are in the event circuit, trying to find the right gap where you aren't doing back to back events can be real hard. So I have had people on the 6th touch be like, oh, yeah, I meant to get back to you. Sorry, I've had 5 events since we last talked. What are we doing again? And be like, okay, like that's tough. Um, the important thing in follow up for me, one, remind them when you met, remind them why you're talking, and then give them something valuable.
Yeah,
So
also, sorry to interrupt. Maybe I felt obligated to mention that the big question is how many people follow up with you. So you leave the event,
super rare.
that's
Super
actually happens. So my ratio, even though it's not a competition, I felt that it's about 1/3 they follow up with me and 2/3 I ended up following up. So whoever just pushes the button. Of course, I talk about the green or the best ones, right? When you felt that the mutual connection is
yeah.
there. So if the person faster than you, mine rule number one, try to respond within a few hours. Don't be the person who's actually not reacting to someone who's reacting you. So that is definitely, even like sometimes at midnight the first same day or something, take an extra effort, even either say one line, thank you for being faster than me, how about we talk this and that. So this and a certain time. So if someone reaches out to me, I try to really get back and confirm that I'm happy that they were faster than me, acknowledging that thanks for being fast, and schedule a conversation from there. If your ratio is 0, they reach out to you 0 times, and you're the only one who's following up. You need to think what is a green lead for you, because that is
Yeah.
maybe not a hot lead. So you just want to think that is hot, but it's not. And that's actually the where the whole sales magic begins. Can you really read your prospect, your lead, accurately, or you're just basically assuming that everybody's interested in your services, and you're just gonna fail on your face, realizing like no.
That's a
Right.
good point.
Yeah.
I do tend to find, because I'm usually sending invite requests like then,
Hmm.
like I'll get out your phone, let me get your LinkedIn right now, this kind of thing, right? It's pretty rare folks reach out to me before I reach out to them. Because also, if I'm walking on a trade show between two different speakers, like two different meetings, I will be on my phone doing my connect requests, sending messages, like all that. So I try and hit while the iron is hot, as they say. Um,
Yeah.
so
One
okay,
more thing. One more thing that started to become common. People started to leave with, "Hey, can we connect on LinkedIn?" And when you connect, they leave. That
yeah,
started to become a common thing,
yeah,
and that's okay. But just know that because you connected on LinkedIn, that may mean nothing.
exactly.
So
That's another example of that's the kiss off, right? It's
exactly,
oh great, let's connect on LinkedIn and we'll follow up, right?
and then,
Absent a, we'll follow up on date. This is not a commitment. This is just I want you out of my face. And LinkedIn connection request, like giving you a brochure, is a clear sign that we're done talking. Please go away. So
yeah.
do make sure, don't rate somebody who connect you on LinkedIn as a five or as a green. Get the follow up, then you know they're a five or a green. All right,
One last thing.
that's
One last tip for sorry. If you are actually
yeah,
on your phone on LinkedIn, don't hit the connect button with the person. Either let them connect with you so you can just accept, or do a personalized invite. So you hit the menu, it kind of hidden in the LinkedIn app. You hit personalized invite and say at least one sentence. "Hey, so and so, it was nice to meet you at this event. Happy to continue our conversation about so and so. Cheers, Tomas." Tell you why. Because you're gonna forget. You're also gonna forget. So
yes,
so so
yes.
you that's where you put your little bit of your internal notes, and then the other person not just going to hit accept. They understand what you talked about. So I try to either accept the person's invite so they're scanning me, or if I'm actually scanning them, then I do a personalized invite, and so that makes it smoother. Thank you.
One way to make that a little more efficient that I use is I will have a standardized hey space and then information about where we met because I know the event saved to my clipboard, right? So I can just paste and put in their name. It's way faster.
It's true. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
awesome.
these are
All
good
right.
tips. These are good tips. Yeah.
I think it's I'm a digital marketer, right? That's what I talk about all the time. It's nice to sometimes discuss a little bit different channel like this one. Um, I would note in my grow to market mastery mentorship program course that I've launched today. You see, if you saw me on LinkedIn, I don't talk about this kind of thing. So it's nice to switch up the topics a bit. Tomas, as always, it's a pleasure to have a chance to chat. Pleasure to offer what I hope is some insight to people on this channel. Where do folks reach out to you if they want to know more?
Here on LinkedIn, LinkedIn / T Holzer, and look forward to talk with you in 2 weeks about fundraising and how to get money.
Yeah,
That's a
we
good.
have a big topic we've been researching, and we've broken into I think a lot of discussion. But we'll have our first discussion in 2 weeks about fundraising and how to get fundraising other than just saying go to VCs. I've had 3 calls with founders today who were asking about money, and each of them I told them VC isn't the route for you. Go do X or Y or Z instead. I'm looking forward to that live stream with you, Tomas. Thanks so much for the time, as always.
Same
Very
thing.
much.
Have a good week. Cheers. Bye, everyone.